Hi, I have your art in front of me and it is really beautiful. It really is. I'm just going to show you how to refine some things, and this is going to take a bit. So I want you to just sit back and just kind of watch the techniques that I use. Some you may want to use, some you don't. I want to just tell you that the difference between the little things is what makes, and that's all you have to really do. You did a beautiful job. So if I turn on your clicky copy, your reference art, plastic or this soft plastic fascia always has little things in it, and I'm going to show you. There's always a little darkness. If you can see this little ring of darkness where the plastic actually folds in when they mold it, and that's what you just have to add to this to give it that little finesse look. And then in the Cuisinart logo, you see how it has a light top and a dark bottom? We're going to accentuate that. Okay, so when I turn this off, you're going to see that I've even gone ahead. I'll show you what I've done. I've gone ahead and I have taken the logo and I've pretty much identified the logo font face. So let's just start with that. What I did was I just typed in the Cuisinart word, okay, and then I need to hit the V key to move this up a little. Whoops, I need to click on it to move it up a little higher. So let me just move it up a little higher. Okay, so what I did was I'm going to protect this by going Command Option in the Move tool, hold Command Option, then I'll hold Shift and just put a second one down there so I can show you what I did. So what I wanted to do, even though I knew this had a squared off top on the eyes, is I hit the Move tool. And in the character palette, I'm sure that you know this, but in the character palette, if you click away from your layer and click back to it, you see how I did that? Then click the Move tool, then highlight this here in the character palette. You can use the up and down arrows to actually go ahead and preview. See how I'm previewing the one on the bottom? To preview the ones that work. So you can actually flow through your font faces. I'm actually going to go, Arial is one of the highest ones in the list. So I'm just going to type Arial. Now I'm going to hit the return key. Now I'm going to highlight the word Arial again. See how I did that? And now what I should, now see how it's not working? Okay, that's very cute. Sometimes it doesn't. And what you have to do when it doesn't want to show you the font faces is click away from your layer, click back, and it might take a minute to get this right. Click on the Move tool, then highlight the lettering again, and then go down. See, it's not doing it. All right, let me make sure that I'm actually, this is very silly, but I'm actually glad it's doing this. Don't highlight it like this, okay? Don't do that. So what I want to do is I want to click away, click back to the Move tool, click to my layer again, re-highlight this, and it should work. Now, it took 2 times to get it to work, but now do you see how I can go through? And what I did was I kept on scrolling through here till I found a Cuisinart CUIS. The S looked pretty similar. So what I did was, and I have it here, I'm just going to throw this one away, is I kept this as a font. So what this is it's an Adobe font, okay? So if I click on it and hit the T key, you can see that if I click inside of it, okay, what am I doing here? I made a copy. I thought I threw that away. Okay, if I click inside of this, what I actually got, I hope I didn't get rid of the one I wanted. No, I didn't. Okay, so I'm so sorry for that. Okay, so in order to get this right now, you customize it. Okay, and how you customize it and get it to fit is the following. Okay, so I don't want those circle-y top things. Okay, so and remember, and this is Adobe Fan. It's called HEITI standard, but Adobe makes a bunch of fonts that kind of look like this, and nothing is perfect unless you knew the exact logo of the Cuisinart logo. But here's how I customized it. Okay, so I'm going to click away from the layer, click back. I'm going to duplicate it so I don't ever ruin the original. That's important. Then I right-hand click over here and I rasterize it. So now it's no longer type, right? So now I can take the M key and I can just get rid of this top by deleting it off, get rid of this top by deleting it off. I even don't need this letter I because I already have one. And if I fix that letter I can just copy it. So I'm going to delete that out. Okay, cool. Now, I'm going to hit the V key and move the whole thing up into place. Okay, now I see that my lettering, if I put it in place, I'm going to always start with like the C. Okay, I'll start with I just made another copy. Let me Z back. I'm sorry. Okay, so if I just move this over, you can see that that's a little too wide. Okay, now the U needs to get wider too. So the C is too wide. The U is not wide enough. So I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna take the M key for marquee, right? I'm going to highlight just the C, make sure I'm on the right layer, and hit Command T to transform. Now I can actually make the C a little bit wider. Now, in 2019 Photoshop, you have to hold the Shift key if you want to only use one. I don't want that highlighted. Yes, I do. I'm sorry. Now, so you can see how I can actually now fit the C in place. Okay, by holding the Shift key and grabbing this one, I can customize only the left-hand side. Okay, let's say that one was correct. Okay, I'm going to now hit the Return key. Now I deselect and I go around the U. Now I hit Command T on the U and I'm only customizing the U. So you can see how I can fit it in. I can hold the Shift key, make it slightly wider. I can use my cursor keys to move that in and up. I'll do one of the letter I's and then I'll stop what I'm doing. Okay, now I'll highlight this. Okay, now I'll hit Command T. Now I'll move it over in place. Now I want to make it just a little bit wider, so I hold the Shift key and I make it slightly wider. Now I put it back in place. Okay, that one now feels right, correct? So I hit the Return key. Now with it selected, I hold Command Option, then Shift, okay, and I make a second one up here. Now all I have to do is hit Command T, and you can see how I have to hold the Shift key, because that's the difference in 2018 and 2019. Now I have a pretty decent letter I right there. Now let's grab the whole thing with the Marquee tool, hold Command Option or Control Alt. Now I click on it. Now my finger adds to the Shift key and I move it over here, and you can see how I have my second letter I. Okay, now that's how I'm going to stop this. Okay, so I'm going to throw this one away because I don't need it because I already have it. So now here is the logo that I had. Okay, now I'm going to show you how to do the dark bottom and light top using this and using a channel palette to actually make the selection smaller and bigger. And that's the whole key. So maybe I'll just start with the logo, and I'm going to just put a bunch of layers on top here, and I'm going to just say new logo 1. Now I'm going to drag across it just so I don't have to keep on typing that, and hit Command C. Okay, and then I'll move everything down later. Okay, so I'm only going to use this being the lettering, and it isn't lettering anymore because you remember I rasterized the shape. I'm going to Command click on it. Now I'm going to turn it off. Okay, now since the face of the lettering is the same color as the actual blender or mixer, I don't have to do anything with it. I just have to add the light top and the dark bottom. Okay, so if I turn this off, I actually want to turn off your layer. So I'm going to deselect, hit the V key, right hand click right over where your paint is right there, and it's going to go to the Cuisinart copy thing that you made, and it's way down here. I can just turn it off. Okay, cool. Now I'm going to go back up and turn on this so I get a picture of what I want. I'm going to paint on this layer, right? I'm going to do a dark bottom. So let's now make our channels that we need. All right, so I already have the path, if you want to say it's a path, of the lettering. It's right there. You can see it. Now I'm going to turn off this. I want to get close and expand this. Okay, so watch. Select, modify, expand, and let's guess, because see where I'm pointing? I want this to grow to here. I say it's 2 or 3 pixels. Let's try 3. And I say okay, and now let me see how much that grew out. That's actually pretty good. That's actually good for the amount of dark that I think I need there. Okay, so now I'm going to save that. So let's go to select. I maybe should have done 2 pixels, but let's go to select, save selection as new logo 2. Now you see how it appears in the channel palette. over here. Okay, so this is what I want to do. I want to use this for both the lights and the darks because they kind of occupy the same space, if you will. And I'm just going to play as I go. Okay, so that's just what I want to do. So you see this logo here. I'm thinking out loud here to myself what I want to do. All right, let's see if all right, I'm just going to put in 2 new layers. I'll go new logo, and I'll go dark. Whoops. Now I want to go, and I'll leave this one right there, and I'm going to make another layer and say new logo light. Okay, whoops, I made a mistake. I know I'm picky. I'm sorry. Okay, Sarah, there we go. Okay, so I'm going to click on that layer. Now, I'm going to show you that the original path was right here on this layer here, but I'm going to leave it selected up there, and I'm going to make a selection of this one right there. Okay, I actually did that backwards. I have to make a selection of the channel. Now go up to this one and click on the icon, but go Command Option or Control Alt and subtract this one. Now do you see how I get the line between the two of them? Okay, now that lets me actually paint the darks. So let's turn this off, being the reference. Let's now hit, I can't really see what I'm painting, so I'm actually going to save this as a selection so I don't have to do it again. It'll appear down here. So let's go to Select and Save Selection as Outlines on the logo. Okay, now I can deselect. That's cool. Now I can just make a selection of this one, and I have it. Now, I'll show you how I did that again. Okay, so I make a selection of the expanded one. I go up here and go Command Option to subtract the original one, and I get the line between the two of them. Okay, that's fine. And then save it under Select, Save Selection. Now, I need your reference layer. So I'm going to click on it. I'm going to hit the M key. I'm going to make a box around this and hit Command J. Whoops, that's K. Okay, Command J. Now I have to unlock your layer. Okay, fine. Now Command J. Now I hit the V key, and I'll just move that down in position so now we can play with what we need without having the reference layer on. Okay, so I click to the new logo dark. I've decided I'm going to do the dark first. Okay, cool. So remember that your layer masks are going to be key here. So let's make a selection of this right here. And now what I should do is go grab the color, and I'm going to make it slightly darker. So I'm going to grab this color. You see it's in the foreground color right here. And I am going to make it slightly darker. Okay, now this is the key to making something look really cool. Okay, I could customize. There's 2 ways I could do this. I could just fill it. All right, I'm going to hit Command H to hide the selection and hit Option Delete and Fill. Now, what I want to do is remove the stuff I don't want, which is all the top stuff. Okay, so watch how I do this. So I Command D to deselect the selection, add a layer mask, as you know. All right, make my brush about that small. Now I'm going to paint a little quicker than 5% on the flow. I'm going to make it 25% on the flow. That's a lot of paint. Now I'm going to paint in black on the layer mask, so I'm in white right now, so I have to hit the X key. I want to remove, see up here how there's no darks? I want to remove the darks from here. So let's just go like this and just hold the Shift key. Look at how I'm holding the Shift key, and I'm removing all the darks from here. That's cool. All right, now I don't, because I didn't want to touch, see where I'm pointing? I didn't want to touch on that dark. Okay, now what we have to do is do a little bit of a white or light shine. All right, now I'm not going to erase anything here, but I am going to click to the upper layer. Now let's make a selection of the same thing again. Okay, now let's hit Command H again. Now on this one, I'm going to be a little bit more picky. So I'm going to move in and grab this light value. Now watch how cool this should be. I said should be. Now if I click up here and hold the Shift key, that means I'm painting, and you can see how I'm painting with my values just like that. So my white is, I wasn't able to go down farther. Now let's do a little bit of customized painting on this and looking at our reference here. Okay, so we pick up more white on the Cuisinart logo here. We come around a little bit like this. That was too much. So we come a little bit like this. We actually click the upper part of this one. We click, I need to make this smaller. I'm going to zoom in. Okay, now look at the S. The S gets brighter right here. So now let's come into here and click this a little bit farther here. And welcome to the world of painting. So now we have to actually paint the lights in here. Let's actually, I need to remove the white. You see on the bottom of this thing, we'll remove that later. And then I'll hit the sides in a second. So on the A, this gets a brighter part of the A. This gets a brighter part of the A. Okay, the R is cool. We'll do the sides. The T gets a little bit a brighter part of the T. Okay, now let's do the sides. Okay, so what I want to do is I want to now lower the opacity. So the flow to about 10, because I don't want to paint. I just want to put a little bit of brightness on this side of the T. I want to put a little bit of brightness on this side of the R. So you're just doing a little customization here. Let's just come down in here and put a little bit here. Let's just keep this going and keep it flowing. Okay, there. Let's come in here, but not go up too high. I have to restore the darkness underneath that. Okay, so now you can see how I'm doing this one. Let's come down this one and do a little bit here, a little bit more on the bottom here. Let's come down this side just a little bit. Let's move it around the S a little bit there. Let's hit the corner about this right here. And I realize I'm narrating, but you know, it is what it is. So now let's come down the I on this side a little bit, and then we'll just hit a little bit of shine on this side. Doesn't have to absolutely be perfect. Let's come down the U like this, and now let's move it over to the C. Let's come down the C on the outer side a little bit right there. That's actually nice. Let's pop a little highlight right here. Now, remember that I'm going to add a layer mask to this one too, also. So now I add the layer mask to it. Okay, whoops, I made a mistake. I have to Command Z back. I added the layer mask with my Command H still on. Do you know what I'm saying? Okay, so I have to now hit Command D, now add the layer mask, now paint in black, and I can remove this part here. So look, I'm going to get close, make my brush really teensy weensy, and I'm going to remove this to show that darkness again. That should be underneath there. Now, hopefully that darkness is there. If it's not, I'm going to put it in there. So it should have been there. Now let me see why it's not there. Oh, I know why. So I have to actually now click on this part right here. This is the dark one. Now what I did was I actually painted out the dark one. So I have to actually hit the X key on the dark one to restore this. Do you know what I'm saying? On the layer mask for the dark one, because I painted with the Shift key on, I got rid of that. So I'm revealing, that's the right word, I'm revealing the darkness underneath the letters, the top of the dots of the eyes. So I'll just hold the Shift key. Whoops. Okay, why isn't that working? Oh, it's because I have to actually remove this from here first. So I need the X key to remove this. Okay, so that, if I just hold the Shift key, good. If I just hold the Shift key, I can't go any lower or higher. That's cool. Now, let me go back to the black one, or the dark one, and now let's hit the X key on that and paint in white on it to let me reveal it again. There. Okay, so now look at the Cuisinart lettering that I have so far. Here is the reference underneath. You can see it. And here's my lettering. Is it perfect? I should probably go in now and click on the white one again, which is right here. And I should probably make my brush bigger. And I need to paint black to show this, oops, no, X white to show this more here. Let me turn this off and remember what I'm doing. So this is white. You know what? I didn't put a lot of white there. So I need to go actually click on the image. I want more white right there. right there. See where I'm pointing? So I need to make a selection of that again, hit Command H, and now paint in white or light and restore that. So I want that, I actually wanted that more. I want more on this one. My brush was too big, so I need to come in like this first. Okay, and now make my brush bigger, and then customize it again. Now some of these have a little bit of a shine spot on them, just for a little beautiful little aspect of it. Watch what I do. So I'm going to kind of hit a shine spot on a couple of them. Okay, so I deselect. Look at how I can keep it on the same layer if I wanted to, or add a new layer for highlight. I realize this is going to take a while. Okay, so you just got to be patient. So now I'm putting a little bit of a highlight on this. I'll put a little bit of a highlight here. I'll come in, make the brush smaller. I'll put a little bit of a highlight on the S. Okay, and then a little bit of a highlight on the C. Now, this is too strong. This here, this needed to be dark. See where the dark is underneath this? So now we have to remove this. So I click to the layer mask, make sure I'm painting in black, so I hit the X key and I want to remove this. So this has to go away completely. Now I should up the flow so it's not taking so long, but now that's going to look better if I restore the darkness underneath the C. Let's see if there's anything else I need to restore. I need this part of the A to be dark right there. I need this dark to show. I need the dark underneath the R to show, and the dark underneath the two extenders for the T. So now let's turn on the dark layer, turn off this. Okay, so I need to restore the C here. Remember that on the layer mask, I actually painted white on the layer mask. So I painted black on the layer mask to remove those. I'm going to turn off the highlights. Okay, so what I need to do is hit the X key to paint white. I actually want to reveal this again. Now that's the customization that is going to really make this good. Underneath here, I need to show, here I need to show, here is good, here is good. That should be good all over. Maybe just a little bit on the edge here. I didn't like what I just did. So now I'm going to go like that. Now let's get back on it. And there is your Cuisinart lettering, which I can now play with. Okay, I think my dark is just too dark. So let's now take the dark and lower the opacity on it, just so it barely shows up, like right there. That looks really good right there. Now that has a better feel on it than, and you can now see the logo very nicely. If I turn off the highlight little thing, I mean the reference layer, that Cuisinart shows up just a little better. And maybe I don't even like the highlights. Maybe I should just take them and lower the opacity on them just so they're barely there. There, that looks good. Now, let's just go back and forth between this and this. I could probably get brighter, but actually mine is fine. Okay, now, I did another thing. Your digital lettering needs to be digital. So there's a couple of things that I want to show here. Okay, believe it or not, I'm not too far away from having this work. So I actually am going to hit the V key. I'm going to deselect on everything. I'll save this file, just to give it a second. Okay, I'm going to right-hand click to the 1032 that you have, and I'm going to turn it off. Now, what I've done is I've gone online, and I'm going to show you how to do this, and I have this digital font. I typed in free digital number font, because I don't have one on my machine. And I'm going to go to DS Digital on the font. Now I have the digital font right there. I'm going to download it. Now let's just download it, and then I'm going to minimize the screen. Let's hit the F key on Photoshop. Now let's go see it. It should be right here, this one right there. Okay, now if you have a Mac, this is how you actually install it, because I want to actually type with that. So I wanted to show you the whole process. So the whole process is this. I need to get to the library that my account belongs to. So if I go to the Go menu, you can see that I have a library right there. If you don't have a library right there, you need to hold the Option key and your library will show up. Okay? If your library is not there, hold the Option key, it'll show up, and now you just click on it and it opens up. Now that's the library, and I'm going to show you something on a Mac. In the library here, this is for the system. So on the main hard drive, and if your main hard drive is not showing, go to the Finder Preferences here and show your hard disk right there. Okay, so this library is different. I'll show you where this library is. It's inside Users. It's inside my main account. And now I have my library right there, which is what that is. Okay. Inside there is a fonts menu, so I open it up. Now these are all my special fonts that I have on this machine. Okay, so I'm going to double click this zip. I'm going to go into the folder, and I'm going to see that there are many of these. Now what I can do is just take the whole folder and just drop it in here. Okay, now we're going to look for ds_digital. Okay, now all I have to do is go in here. Now I'm going to use your text for this here, and I'm going to duplicate it. Now I'm going to change it. So I'm going to leave it selected. Hopefully I don't have to restart Photoshop. Okay, if I do, then I do. Then I'll restart Photoshop. So let me make sure my microphone is correct. Okay, so now I am going to go to the Move tool, and let's go see if the lettering is actually there. So with that selected in the Move tool, I don't have to be in the Text tool. Let's go see if DS Digital, let's go see if DS Digital is there. So if it's not, then I'll have to restart Photoshop. DS Digital is right there. So now I can go into DS Digital, and I can say italic. Okay, now I've got the 1032, and it's not exactly right. I wish it were bold. So I'm going to, I don't know if it has a bold. Yes, it has a bold italic. That's perfect. Okay, now we have to customize it. Okay, so what I'm going to do is put this lower down here. I'm going to go to your reference layer and turn it on. And then I'm going to grab a little section of that. So let's hit, because I want to see the lettering down there, right? So I hit the M key, I make a little marquee of this and hit Command J. I now turn this off. Now I can see both. Okay, now let's just customize this. So we're going to have to move things closer. Mine's not perfect, but mine's much closer than yours. Okay, I didn't mean that anyway. But anyway, so let's take the Move tool and go in here. Okay, there's a couple of things that I've done that I probably shouldn't have done. All right, which now, I mean, for this lettering. So now let's take away the overall tracking, it's called range kerning or tracking. Let's put it down to 0. And I need to, oh, you know what? I was on the wrong thing. Let me make sure I have, okay, I need to go back to this layer before I actually do anything. So let's go to the 1032 here. Oh, I'm so embarrassed. So let's go to the 1032 right here. Now I can take away the 220 and put it down to maybe 10. Okay, that needs to go smaller, maybe to 5. And that even needs to go maybe to 0. Okay, that looks good. Now, all I really have to do is use my Command T, and I can pretty much just make this bigger. Now, what I should do is I should hit the T key. I should put this above here. So this should actually go above, just so I can see it. Or I take this little reference thingy right there, and I just turn down the opacity just so I can barely see it. Okay. Now I can go down to this. Let's go right-hand click again, go to this, and I'll move this up into position. Now, if I hit Command T, you can see how I have to go out like this. It's a font still. I don't want it a font. So I'm going to go, whoops. When I said whoops, in 2019, they think you want it constrained, you know, like a shift click, but you don't have to hold the shift key anymore. Actually, they made it completely backwards. So now I have to hold the shift key if I want to do independent movements on each side. Gosh, I'm so sorry for that. But you see how much better that is going to look on here? Now what I want to do is I want to turn this into paint. Okay, and I could even add this upper thing, but I don't really care at the moment. I think this will be fine. Let's hit Command T again, hold the shift key and make it a little bit higher. Okay, that's pretty darn good. Let's move it over a little bit this side. Okay, perfect. Now let's hit Command S to save. So what I'm going to do is paint up high. Okay, now I'm going to turn this off. I should move this just up higher, just so I have it near me. Okay, let's put this way up here. There. Now, let's turn off your little thingy here, and let's look at this. Okay, the nature of this, I need to turn this off for a second, is that there's a shadow underneath. You see the shadow? Okay, so we need to kind of just give that a three-dimensional feel. And it's not hard. I mean, you can leave the 1032 as text, but let's just make an additional layer. It's going to be kind of easy. Make an additional layer. So let's duplicate it. On the bottom one, let's rasterize it. And I should actually click on the top one. I'm turning this off. On the top one, I don't want it text anymore. So I'm going to rasterize it. Okay. Now on the bottom one, let's hit the V key and let's first turn off the top one and let's lower the opacity on this one. Okay, perfect. Now let's turn on the top one. Now let's move this with the V key pressed. Let's click on this one, get close, and I should show that little thing again here. This is how you work, I guess. I just have to show you everything. So I'm going to move this down so I can see it. I always put a little copy of something down. So let's go back up now. So click on the 1032, which we should put in here as 1032 shadow. Now let's just hit the V key and move it down. So now we can move it down and over. Now let's lower the opacity and Gaussian blur it. That's all we have to do. So let's lower the opacity to about right there. And now let's just Gaussian blur that layer, and we'll just let Gaussian blur tell us when it's done. Okay, so 16 pixels is just a little too much. So let's go back. And now 1 pixel is actually really good. So now I can actually go in and put in more. Meaning making it slightly darker so it has a good feel to it. And now we have a decent feel there. And I love what you did. You see this darkness that you have coming around this edge? It needs to be more. That's the point. It needs to be more. And that's the beauty of this. So on that window, if I hit the V key, let me hit Command S to save, and let me go right-hand click on your clock window here, which is beautiful. You did a great job. I'm going to right-hand click on that shadow right there. Actually, that's the same one. So let me click on this. Oh, I see what you did. Okay, that's good. No, you did a good job. Let me click on this. Okay, that's for the button. So what I would like to do first, though, is to show you, and I need to turn this off, this being, let me go back up, sorry. Let me turn this off and now click on the this again, and let's go grab a section of this whole thing. So now I'm going to grab that whole section, hit Command J, Mr. Sorial, turn this off, hit the V key, let's move this up or down just so I have the whole thing so I can show you what I'm talking about the bending of this. So, and what I mean by bending is there's a little folding, there's a little darkness around this edge. Now, we have to do two darknesses. You see the sharp darkness you have here, right there that I'm pointing at, and then the soft darkness. So let's now make 2 layers, and I keep on making them up on top, but you can put them where you need if you do want to do this. So I'm going to put in here clock fix 1, and I'll drag across it. And then I'll click this one and clock fix 2 and hit Command S to save. So let's go to clock fix 1. I've already taken the shape tool. Now I have to tell you again, if you're going to draw a new path like I did right here, you see this new path that I'm going to go to the P key and show you what I did. So I drew a new path around this. Do you see that? So that I could do this darkness and actually use this path. Now how I did that path, and I'm going to command click to turn it off, and I'm turning off the layer. You have to have the layers off, so you command or control click on them, and you command or control click on the path so that you can use the elliptical tool right there. Now if you hold the option key, now see how you can draw the ellipse, and now if you hit Command T, you can, oops, you got to turn that dumb thing off. Now if you hold Command T and hold the Shift key, you can actually customize it. So I don't want it to be moving. I want it to be moving independently. So I have to click. Now hold the shift key. Okay. Okay, for whatever reason now I don't have to hold the shift key. Okay, this is really strange. Now it's acting normal. Okay. Okay, so see how I customize it. I don't know why I'm doing it again. I already did it. So what I want, I don't even want that work path because I already have it. So what I'm going to do is make a selection of it. Okay, now I'm going to do two things and make two new channels. I want a darkness right between here and where your gray is. So I'm going to go to Select, Modify, Contract first, and I'm going to contract it by, I'll try 2 pixels. It should have been 3. So I'm going to add 1 more. So let's go Select, Modify, Contract by 1 more, and now that's perfect. Let me hit Select and save selection, and let's hit Command V, clock fix 1 path. And now I want to go back to the original. Click, Command click. Now I want to make it bigger for where that plastic is. Now let me close the character palette because we don't need it. So let's go where the plastic is. Okay, I want to show the plastic. So see where I'm pointing way up here? I actually want to expand this. So let's go to Select, Modify, Expand by about 5 pixels. That was perfect. Now let's save that one as clock fix whatever path 2. So let's go clock fix 2 path. And I'll figure it out. So now they're down in the channels, okay? So let's do this darkness right here. So let's go up, let's do the first darkness, all right? And what I'm talking about is this darkness between here and here. So I take my path and I hold Command Option and I subtract this clock, this first one here that I'm going to click on right now. Now do you see how we have this line between here and here? Okay, cool. Now, I'm going to turn off your reference layer because I want to see the art. And let's now hit Command H so I don't have to see that. Now let's hit the B key, make it larger. This is very cool. Option click for this dark red stuff right here. And now I'm going to make the brush bigger. I'm painting at 10 on the flow, which is fine. And now do you see how I'm putting on this softer edge? See how that now makes it look inset inside? Do you see how that actually added to the feeling that that was actually now something that was molded inside? Now let's even help that. And I like how you actually put this white highlight there, but you left it too harsh. So I'm going to Command D. I'm going to hit the V key. We're going to get close on it. I'm sorry, I'm going to hit the V key and right-hand click and go to your ellipse number 1. I think that you need to Gaussian blur that ellipse. So let's go to Filter, Blur, and Gaussian blur it by 1 or 2 pixels. So now it's at 1 pixel. Oh, that's gorgeous. You see the softness that's on that edge? Let's try 2 pixels. Oh, that's beautiful. Now let's go back on it, and you're going to see how just that's what it was missing. You were too harsh. Now, and that's not harsh. You just needed to make it softer. Okay, now let's do this other one where I said, whoa, way up on top. Let's go now to the clock fix 2, which has nothing on it yet. So I'm going to Command click the bigger one. This is important. Command click the bigger one way out here. Now let's subtract the regular one, which is right here on the path. So I Command click the channel and go Command Option subtract the path. Now do you see how I have that? Okay, cool. Now I want to use a pinky red. So I'm going to hit Command H so you don't see it. Hit the B key. Let's go grab this dark red. So I want to find the dark magenta-y red somewhere. Let me find out where the best place is. Well, let's just get close. And I'll just make it dark red. So let's go in here. Let's click this. That's probably going to work, but let's just make it a little bit darker red like this. Okay, cool. Now let's put it on there, and it's going to look horrible at first. So let me actually go here. Now here's my Command H right there, and we'll watch what I do with the brush. Let's now just put it on there, and let's have it be way too strong. Okay, oops, way too strong. Do we care? No. So now I could even put a little bit on the bottom like this, just a little bit. Okay, now let's deselect. Let's Gaussian blur it by about 2 or 3 pixels. And oh God, that's beautiful. And let's go a little bit more. Okay, that's it right there. Now let's lower a little opacity on it. And now do you see how that looks like a plastic molded edge? There's the difference between what you had and what I think works. Okay, now look at how pretty the Cuisinart logo is. Now, I'm going to turn off the thing here. I'm going to make, and I have to find where your buttons are, because at the bottom layer, actually I'm going to go one above this magenta right here. So I'm going to hit the V key and I'm going to go like this. Okay, so overall pink. I'm now going to put a layer above it and I'm going to call it shadows. The buttons stick out from the unit. It's going to take me a while to get there. I'm going to go way back up to here and I'm going to turn on your clicky copy so we can see them. Okay, see how the buttons have a little darkness around them? Well, I'm going to accentuate that. See how the shadow from this button here is actually, it's a knob? Well, we're going to accentuate that. We're going to make that come out. And you should have, or could have, put a little bit more gray on the front faces of those buttons. Okay, that's all that really needed. God, you did such a good job. I'm very proud of you. So let me see if I can make a small copy of this so we can have it down there. So let's hit the M key, make sure we've deselected. Okay, fine. Now let's hit what? Command J, good. Let's turn this off. Let's hit Command T and just shrink this. Just shrink it just a little bit so I can get it all on the screen here. Okay, now I don't need this on. I can go way down to your, I'm going to get there quickly. If I hit the V key and right hand click, see how I can go right to there and then click on the shadows. Now I drew the button shadows. I used the elliptical path, you see it right there, and I drew it. And then to get this one to be an extra one, see how I have it kind of around the button and I made it a little bigger. So if I hit the P key, that's important, be in the P key, hold the command key, you can actually hold command option, and now you can see how you can see all the points. Okay, good. Now watch how I can hold command option and make a second path on the same thing. Now if I want to distort one of these, I just click it with the command key down. Stay in the pen tool, but hold the command key. And now you can make this be bigger or smaller. Now I'm going to hit the delete key once and twice, but not 3 times. So do you see how I made all of these paths around everything right here? Now my point is, let's handle it just like this, okay? Now I don't have to worry about hurting the buttons. And watch in a second, I'll go up on the top and I'll put a little bit of gray like you did on those buttons. I don't think I need to. You just need to hit more gray on these buttons on the bottom. So please do that. See, you have too bright of a button. Just gray it down. See how it gets darker? That'll be perfect. Maybe I'll do it just to have it be pretty. But now I'm going to command click that. Okay, that's a selection I can hit command H on. Now we're going to add a layer mask to this when we're finished, but we're going to go get that dark red. In fact, it's already there. The dark red's already in here, but let's make it a little bit less red and more blacky gray red. Now let's hit option delete. Okay, that's obviously way too strong. Okay, we don't care. So now let's go into Gaussian blur. Let's now make sure it's all pretty. Oh, that's gorgeous. Let's even Gaussian blur it a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more. Okay, I went to 5.8. Perfect. Now let's just lower some opacity on it until it just melts right in. Now watch the mode I'm going to put this on, please. I'm going to change the mode from normal to multiply. And now it's going to have a more rich feel. Now let's even make it less. Okay, there is now the difference. Look at how those buttons, I'm going to turn this on and off. Look at how those buttons actually don't rest. They don't look like they're formed on the thing. Now when the shadow comes in, the buttons are awesome. Now, and I didn't touch the buttons. You painted them. That they look even better. I'm turning up the opacity because I think it should be up a little higher. Man, that looks good. Wow, does that look good. Now, I need to take the shadow right here and actually, since this is a switch, I need to darken this. So I need to find out what layer that's on. Remember that I have this selection right here, but I'm going to do it in a second, okay? I don't even need to add a layer mask to this, but I'm going to right-hand click in the V key to find out where you are on that button. Okay, now let me see where that is right here. Okay, I'm going to go one layer higher than that. Boom, right there. Now what I want to do is I want to just help the shadow. So I'm going to command click the shadow here on this, and I'm not going to just blast it in here. I actually want to, I'm going to show you what I'm talking about. The shadow darkens everything underneath that little toggle switch. Okay, so let's go up here now and put in the shadow and darken everything underneath that. So let me hit, let's just grab the dark. So I'm going to hit the B key and grab a dark off this right here, right there. Now I'm going to make the brush really small, and I'm going to paint a little bit of darkness underneath this so that that shadow makes total sense. I hope that you understand what I'm doing, but I'm just customizing this. Now I actually want to remove the shadow from this part of that button. I almost don't even need to, but let me deselect now and show you that that looks three-dimensional now. Okay, and I can even take layer 31 and take away a little opacity, and I should put it on a multiply mode as well, so it blends right in with that button. Okay, those are the cool things that I want you to do to change your item. Let me hit the V key and get rid of this. Okay, so now I can just turn this off. Now, on the side bars, they need to be reduced. So I'm going to see how this one goes from, yours are too strong. I'm going to lower this one. I'm going to take some of that away. Okay, so all I have to do is use a foreground to transparent gradient on it, and it'll do it itself. So I'm going to turn this off. I'm going to right-hand click on this, and let's go to layer 1. Oh, you did such a good job. I'm so proud of you. So now let's, so easy to fix your stuff. So now I'm going to add a layer mask, blank. Now let's hit the G key and go to foreground to transparent. Make sure it's on this left-hand icon. Click here, make sure it's on foreground to transparent, and then hit the X key, make sure it's black. Now let's move in. Watch how by going like this, about right from this point and holding the shift key and moving over, do you see how I kind of killed that a little bit? Now I did it a little too much. So I'm going to command Z back, and I'm going to go over here, and I'm going to come a little bit farther over. Nope, now I didn't go enough. So now I'm going to command Z back and go a little farther over, and there. Now that looks more real because it's a little bit feathered back. These are just too strong I don't remember what okay, those are just too strong. Now see how that looks a little bit better. You need to kill yours on the edges, and maybe that's a strong statement, and you kind of did on some of them. But even on this one that you have over here on this edge, I think it should be toned back on the one edge a little bit more, and that's this one. So watch how easy again. Layer mask. Let's just click the G key, click right here, and just come a little farther over. And you see how I just pushed that edge back a little bit? I'm commanding back because I went too much. Okay, right there. Now that's what you have to do to these. Now let's see if the two front ones need to be softened is the best word. And then I'm done this movie. So yes, I think you need to soften these two here. They're just too strong. And I think if you soften them from both the front edges to the edge here, that'll work really nicely. So I'm going to turn this off. I'm going to hit the V key, right-hand click on this one, and I'm so glad you split these layers up. So now let's take this one, and let's start from here and move over with the G key and soften this one. Now look at how... Sarah, do you see how that just made that look so pretty? Oh my gosh. Now let's hit the V key and come over here and right-hand click, and now add a layer mask to it. And now you know what I'm going to do. And now I come hit the G key, come about a little quarter-inch away, hold the shift key, come back on this side. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Now that whole thing is looking like amazing. And those are just small little changes, really small. So you see the layer masks I've added. Let me hit Command S. You see the digital clock that we kind of have fixed up in there. Remember I said that this part of the gray here needs a little bit more gray in that. I could hit the V key, go to one layer above that clock. Okay, that's cool. I can go to one layer above this. Let me put in a new layer, and I'm just gonna take the B key, grab this color, Sarah, and I'm only painting at 10, so watch please. I'm just gonna hold the shift key and move my way across. Look at how that's setting that right in there. Now that's all I did. That whole layer is just a hold shift key on a soft brush to really set that in there. Now look at how real that looks. So I hope you've enjoyed this. I am so proud of you. Those are the final touches that I think you needed.